الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, I'm very happy and very excited, mashallah. I have a very old friend with me, Shaykh Waliullah Muhammad. We spent some time at IE together, mashallah. Maulana Waliullah Muhammad, he was raised on the west side of Chicago. After accepting Islam, he decided to study the Deen of Allah, mashallah. He completed the 6-year Alim program at the Institute of Islamic Education in Elgin, Illinois. Mashallah, right after the Alim course, he started teaching at Mufti Yasir Nadim's Darul Uloom online. And currently, he is the resident scholar at the West Side's largest and most oldest mosque, Masjid Da'wah. Mashallah, he teaches there regularly. Um, you can catch him, any time of the day. He's someone that uh, you can't miss, mashallah. Without further ado, Shaykh Waliullah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So today, alhamdulillah, I was asked by an old friend to be here with you all and speak to you all about the importance of intention. So before we start, just note that this is not a fiqh class, and the fiqh of niyyah isn't something that you can really go and digest between 10 or 15 minutes. For those different questions about your niyyah and how niyyah should be made in your salah and your Ramadan, please make an effort to go to your local scholars inside of your masajid, spend some time with them and interact with them. This is more of an exploration of the spiritual dimensions of niyyah. And the way that this is going to be conducted is, inshallah, we're going to deal with defining terms and some concepts, because dealing with vague terms that are half understood are only going to lead to confusion. So we're going to start with these different terms and definitions that we're going to need in order to understand the concept of niyyah, explain their relationship to each other, and hopefully through this understanding, application should become easy after that, inshallah. So alhamdulillah, when we talk about niyyah and making intention, especially in the Islamic sense, before you actually get to defining what niyyah is, what it's not, and what defines and how to do it, you first have to understand a few different preliminary terms. First and foremost, this dichotomy between dhikr and ghafla. So dhikr is something that's been talked about and lectured about, since as long as Islam has been here. Numerous different ulama and scholars have written treatises and papers and books about the concept of dhikr. Dhikr is this idea of mindfulness, this idea of being cognizant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his existence. Dhikr is you going and knowing and understanding at this moment in time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. And once you're in this state of dhikr, of mindfulness, of consciousness, right, you start to now go and act accordingly, so long as your belief is correct. So once you're in the state of dhikr, it becomes now easy for you to do what we call taqwa, which is paying very close ghafla. And this is that heedlessness when you, as every person does at some point, goes and you forget the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watching over you constantly. When you forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching over you, you now are less able to exercise taqwa, which means now that you're not paying attention to the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing those things that need to be done. So we covered dhikr, we covered the ghafla, and we covered the taqwa. So now Inshallah, when we go and talk about the niyyah, niyyah is also associated with certain other things. So first and foremost, we have the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which he famously mentioned and said that, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that actions are rewarded by and judged by their intentions. And the example was given. But less famously, and this is also included in most of those hadith collections that talk about, niyyah, is al-a'mal bil khawatim, right? The actions, the reward, and they're judged by, going to be looked at by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by how they ended up. So whenever you have an action that you're doing, in the beginning of that action, there's a niyyah, and at the end of that action, you have a result. So the context of our actions are always like this, where there's an intention, there's the actual action that's being done and taking place, and then you have a result. And in order to understand niyyah, we have to go and talk about this process. But now, inshallah, we can work on defining what niyyah is. So this idea inside of your heart or your mind that you are going to do an action, that you're taking steps to complete a goal, this is niyyah. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, is evidence in the hadith in the Peace of Allah. You have those different niyat that are done in order to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those that are done for other different reasons and goals and purposes. But the most important thing with niyyah is that you understand that niyyah is about going and setting a goal. Once you have the goal, you work towards completing that goal, and that's the actual action. And then that action goes and has its results. And this is how we go and we look and we judge our actions. So in the Islamic context, however, when we go and we talk about niyyah and having a niyyah when it comes to certain things, we normally go and talk about this desire to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when doing an action. And this is very, very important because of the fact that we find ourselves in certain situations going in between dhikr and ghafla. And the main thing that we do in order to remain in states of dhikr is to bring the niyyah inside of the heart, because those actions that are now birthed with this good intention are actions that now go and contain barakah. And now, before we go and talk about why niyyah is important, we have to understand what barakah is. Because when we do different actions inside of this deen of Islam, we do certain things. We do them with an intention of, if not outright going and getting reward, obtaining some benefit. But the benefit that we're looking for is barakah. So we have to understand, what it is and what it is not. So barakah, it has different dimensions to it, and a lot of that is connected with, its linguistic meaning in the Arabic language. But we're not going to get into that because of our time constraints. But barakah is one, it's something that's very, very firmly established, and two, it's something that, it's good that grows. So when we go and we want barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we want to establish ourselves, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to go out and get those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says are good, right? Because that's what barakah is, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is good. And barakah is also what? To go and get those good things, keep those good things, stay connected with those good things, and allow those good things to grow. This is barakah. And barakah is very, very, very inherently connected with this idea of intention. Because when we talk about intentions and niyyah and ikhlas, this Muslims are not, we're not looking for, some kind of, state of zen or something. We're not trying to empty our minds except for, okay, there's one singular, different types of goal. When we go and we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants many different things from us. So when we go and we make this intention, make for anything to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to keep in mind the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, which means that niyyah now becomes an exercise in prioritizing different goals. When we go and talk about actions inside of Islam, these are a'mal, sometimes we translate them as conscious actions. Those good deeds that you want to do, these are conscious actions. And what makes them conscious is the niyyah. The niyyah is the consciousness of these different conscious actions that goes in at the birth of the action, goes and gives it its spiritual color. example, inshallah, will help understand the concept. Every single day, there are certain things that you do. You eat, you sleep, you wash up, you do these different things. These are things that you have to do, regardless of whether you're cognizant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. But the Muslim is that person who goes and knows and understands that his goal is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Muslim, he wants the barakah. He wants to go and seek those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes and says are good. And he wants to connect himself to those things firmly. So what we have here is that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in order to keep the Muslim engaged in constant dhikr, in order to allow the Muslim to give birth to all of his actions with proper intention, he's given us this entire system of dua. We go and whether vocal or not, we crystallize this intention with, certain goals that we want to reach. When we go now, we eat food. We don't just eat food because we're hungry, but because, we're sustaining our bodies in order to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Because in doing this is barakah. Waking up, and eating your food because you're hungry. I mean, alhamdulillah, mashallah, your body is satisfied. And that's your reward if your only intention was to satisfy your hunger. But if your intention was to go and get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then only by having this intention can you further that goal. These mundane actions become, types of ibadat when done with proper intention. And in this month of Ramadan, we have to be very cognizant and aware of the fact that those different hadith that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he warned us about, being amongst those people that only get, hunger and thirst from their fast is very inherently related with this idea of intention. Is very inherently related with this idea of dhikr. Is very inherently related with this idea of taqwa. And this month of Ramadan is supposed to be a taqwa trainer. When you go now every single day, you go and you wake up and you go and you fast, there should be an intention there because you don't want to be amongst the people who have forgotten Allah. You don't want to be amongst the people who are doing actions, just because their body's on autopilot. You want to be a person who is doing things that are going to earn him reward, fully aware of what he's going to do, with himself and with his body and with this reward. Right? You don't want to live your life haphazardly, and Islam is not a system that encourages this. Islam goes and encourages that every single Muslim should be very, very thoughtful. This is what dhikr is all about. Very conscious of the things that are going on around him. When we interact with people, when we interact with things, when we interact with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to keep in mind the impact that we're going to have. Actions are judged by your intentions, and actions are also judged by how they end up. The system of intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set up is meant to aid in this concept of muhasabah, this idea that you are the first judge for your different actions, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes and gives you a chance to review yourself before you're called now to the final judgment. And it's only through the fact that we have this time now to sit and look at what we're doing, where we're at, and where we want to go, that we can now work on building a foundation for ourselves to start on this path to reaching the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, niyyah is what? Niyyah is you going and setting goals, setting proper priorities, prioritizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and knowing that when you prioritize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now commands you to make everything else a proper priority, whether it's your family, your work, or your friends. These are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands you to do good with. And why is niyyah important? It's important because niyyah is the basis of barakah. There's no ajr or reward inside of your actions unless you go and you do what? You connect those things with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this act of you going and doing things for the sake of Allah, this is exactly what niyyah is. And how do you make an intention? An intention is something that goes and it takes place in the heart, but an intention is not a passing idea or thought. Intention is not that, oh, I would like to do this thing or I want to do this thing. Intention is that you actually take steps in order to reach that goal that you have planned. And the different things that we've received from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam inside of his seerah, inside of the sunnah, are things that are there to help aid us in this goal. In every single thing that we do, whether it's for the worldly life or it's for, the deen, for ourselves, for our families. We have to make sure that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a priority in all of those actions. Because even for something as great as the hijrah, if your primary goal, right, is, your family building or family planning or your migration, right, your immigration or whatever, then alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just and merciful, and He will allow you to do so. He'll allow you to reach safely into a new country, new land, and start your life back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow you to do that. He'll allow your businesses to become fruitful. He'll allow you to, go and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But if you weren't prioritizing Allah with that, if your intention was void of Allah and His Rasul, if your intention did not include, to preserve the deen of Allah and Islam, if your intention did not include to go and help, build a Muslim community, then the only thing you've gotten was, a nice enjoyment for, between 30 and 50 years. But if you go and you do this for the sake of Allah and make Allah a priority inside of your actions, then now you have an everlasting reward and have real barakah. So it's very important that we make an effort to understand the things that we go through, we read and we recite. There's a lot of reward inside of going and reading the Quran, with just looking at the words and pronouncing them. But the reward from actually going and understanding and the barakah that comes from understanding far supersedes it. Because these du'as and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he taught the companions, he taught them, not just so they could go and, okay, mashallah, you get the barakah of saying the same words that I'm saying. Those words were meant to serve as a reminder for, keeping you in a state of dhikr and renewing your intention. When you're going and reading the Quran, alhamdulillah, you're reading and you're getting barakah by looking at the words and reciting them. But effort should also be made in understanding what they mean. Effort should also be made, and the intention should include applying them. The intention should include, living on this word. The intention should include, going and following all of the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are included in it. Because this is where the real barakah lies. When you go and you do things with your family, for example, you go and you have fun with them, you spend time with them. If your intention was just for them, then alhamdulillah, mashallah, hopefully the love will grow between you all. But if your intention first and foremost was to, obey the command of Allah and get ajr for that, then now you've included Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your family gathering, and that family is a lot more well off and a lot stronger than a normal one. When a person goes out, for example, to go in and study the deen, inside of one of the books that we study, ta'lim wa ta'allam, this idea of, going and instructing the student how to learn. One of the things that they mention inside of the book is that the intention that a student should have in order to make sure that he doesn't end up on the path of the ulama usul, those people that, don't benefit from their knowledge, is that first and foremost, that you want the pleasure of Allah from this. Secondly, that you want, the hereafter from this. You want to remove ignorance from yourself and from everyone else. You want to revive the deen. When you have these intentions in place, now the action that's birthed from these things, right, it becomes so much more than just the thing itself. And this is what connects us not only to each other, because it gets rid of that selfishness. Right? It connects us with each other, but more importantly, it connects us to Allah, because when every single one of our actions and goals and deeds are connected to Allah, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who brings our hearts together, then there's nothing that can break that. And this is the importance of intention, and the purity of intention is not that you go and disregard your family or your work or your friends in order to kind of go and be some kind of ascetic somewhere, some monk. Into your family, your friends, your work. Because now these are not the goals in and of themselves. Now they're a means to an end. And what is that end? The end is first and foremost, the establishment of Islam. And this is a commandment of Allah. So this does what it goes, and it brings the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, by His grace and fadl, that will result in our eternal abode in the hereafter. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. I was told that, it's between a 10 and 15-minute program, and I think I took a little bit more than that. But Jazakallah khair for attending, allowing me to be here with you all. And Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. Please, inshallah, stay safe and secure during this Ramadan, and try to really, inshallah, make very, very good intentions for yourself, for your family, and this Muslim community. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.